Bring back Mountain Dew Distortion. Please do it.
Distortion was good. So it's Mountain Dew Southern Shock is the name of it.
Shock. That sounds like a really bad cocktail. Hello.
Sounds like citrus.
Welcome. My name is Jay, and with me today is my good old friend, Alexander Gonzalez.
Hello.
And please remember that we are not game devs. How are you doing today, Alex?
Good. I'm trying to figure out what Southern Shock means in terms of flavor.
I'm assuming it's like an iced tea lemon type of thing, like a Lipton, like a sweet Lipton that's carbonated.
Oh my God. It's like have you guys ever tried Mountain Dew sweet tea?
I mean, that's what I assume it is. That sounds delicious, though. Mountain Dew sweet tea. That sounds really good.
Apparently, it's been available since 2020. How am I so late? There's a wiki fandom.
Jeez, that is pretty serious. I mean, people get pretty serious about their Mountain Dew, though. You know.
Oh, it's a tropical plunge flavor. Okay.
Oh, that's less exciting. I was kind of pushing for the sweet tea Mountain Dew. We got to email Mountain Dew like, hey guys, make a sweet tea flavor.
Right. I'll still try it though. A sweet tea flavor. I wonder what that would be like.
Freaking delicious. But those are not the dews that we're talking about today. Today, we are creating something new. Every week, we are not game devs. We imagine a brand new video game idea from our minds. Join in on the fun, be creative, and if you have your own unique video game idea or want to patch into ours, write in to apphoundgames@gmail.com. Today is my turn to present We Are Not Game Devs 225th IP. Now, let's start with how this is going to go. Because at first, well, this is more so a game that should have belonged to our previous podcast, Make This Happen. But that show does not exist anymore. And so we're going to tweak it a little bit and put it on here. So this is going to be a PSVR 2 exclusive made by Sony. So we're going to throw that out. Or I mean, it could be Team Asobi as well, but it's like a Sony type of game, right? And it's gonna make itself, man. And people already want this to happen. We just got to make our own version of it. So what I think it's gonna be, it's not gonna be a game per se. It's gonna be more of a meta space, right? And I assume it's gonna be akin to what I imagine the rooms from Ready Player One would have been like, where it's essentially you get your own little space and you can maybe purchase it with points that you earn from doing things in games. Like every trophy you get like 10 points for bronze, 25 points for silver, 50 points for gold, and 100 for platinum. And you accumulate all these points for doing trophies and other things that you do in PlayStation games. Like maybe just beating games or just buying games, you get points, you know, and then you get these points and you just buy the cosmetics in this metaverse where you buy like long neck lamp, or you get like a bed that's in the shape of I don't know, Nathan Drake's boat or something. Like you just start getting items that you could decorate this meta space with. And while you're in this meta space, there's also like areas that you could place yourself and put them around. But you have like the Fortnite game machine, and then you go over to the game machine and you sit down, and then other people in the metaverse could sit down next to you, and then you guys both start playing Fortnite together in this space. You know what I mean? It's essentially a place that you could invite it's a lobby. It's the Splatoon 3 lobby, but you get to decorate it and you get to put stuff around and you could walk around. And then there's also like, you could go walk to a couch, put on Netflix on there, and then like someone could walk into your space and like sit down and watch Netflix next to you on the couch, you know?
Yeah, this sounds interesting. We should also have it where you can have emulators.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you could because it's going to be, you're saying it's Sony, but this makes more sense for a PC game, in my opinion, because then you could have like a Nintendo 64 emulator, or you could have like something where it's called a Game Genie and you boot it up and you can play Pokemon, or you can play Contra, or you can play Ocarina of Time. Like you'd have all of that access just playing those games.
That would be great, but I do feel like this would be a PlayStation thing just because PlayStation is really trying to push PSVR 2. They're really trying to push their PlayStation Stars rewards program, and this would be a good integration with that. And
you're right, and we could do it that way too. It like I can do instead of that, it's Crash Bandicoot and Parappa and Sly Cooper and Gran Turismo or Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2.
Yeah,
like there's a treasure trove of games.
Right, and I also could see like
Tekken 2.
You'll have all these like arcade machines in this space, and I think there's like two modes. When you sit down at the Fortnite machine, you have the choice to play on the screen in VR or make it theater mode, and it like transports you somewhere else, and it makes the Fortnite screen real big, and you can play it like that. You know what I mean? Or you could play it like it'll look like you're playing on like a little arcade monitor is how I feel like it'll look like. And then like it'll have options like It Takes Two is there and it has shared play. So you could just start playing with anyone that you invite. Or you could get something like, I don't know, Destiny 2 where it requires a purchase. And if you invite a friend, they don't own it. You'll like sit down and the friend will like look at the screen and then it'll take them straight to like the PlayStation store so they could go like purchase Destiny 2. You know what I mean? And then you'll be able to play that way if you don't own something. Or like I guess it'll be more akin if you want to play like what's a paid small multiplayer game? Like back when Knockout City was to paid game, like it would bring up the PlayStation stores. You could buy Knockout City and just play it because your friend wants to play. They invited you to their little space, so you could play Knockout City next to each other.
Okay, I see that. And like movies and whatnot.
Yeah, you could dress your avatar up to make them look a certain way, so when you look at someone, they'll look how they want to be presented. And then maybe you could get high def skins, and so you could just straight up be Kratos too if you want, or like straight up be Aloy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I was even thinking that the environment could be pretty cool, where you can choose an inside environment, you can choose an outside environment, you can choose the weather happening outside of your inside or outside in general. You can have ambient noises.
Yeah, like
how cool would it be to play in the middle of playing in the middle of Horizon Forbidden or Horizon Forbidden West, and there's like walkers and different plane walkers that are walking around you while you're in a forest playing games.
Yeah.
Or hanging out.
Or like playing Horizon Forbidden West while you're sitting inside a field inside Horizon Forbidden West, right? Just add immersiveness to playing the game.
And if we're going even that far, I would want it to be where every single game conference that Sony or E3, since E3 is coming back, is going to do, you can actually buy a seat and sit down in the room and they're going to cast it for you. So it's like you're there.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to sound stupid, but I just imagine there being actual people with VR helmets on who are watching it for you so you can log in as them and see from their view.
I see what you mean. Or they would just have a seat with the 360 camera just sitting in the seat. You know what I mean?
That's so much better. Yeah, that's so much less dystopian. The way I described it sounds so creepy. Because I imagine them dressed in all white suits and face masks too. So you take away all their features.
But yeah, we could have it so like in this app, you log in and it's the day of the PlayStation conference, right? And then you put on your VR headset and you still have a countdown until the conference starts. And then you could put the conference play or countdown on your TV, your main TV that plays like Netflix and all your video apps. And then you could just like walk over to your what's like Fortnite console, play a couple matches of Fortnite, and you could literally turn your head look at the TV and wait until the countdown for the PlayStation countdown for the expo is happening. You know what I mean? And then you can like sit down and you could either get the VR immersive experience where you look like you're in the auditorium, or you get the live stream straight to your TV inside this VR space, you know?
And on top of that, what you can do is you'll also be able to, as they're coming out with games and saying like demos are available now, you'll have a pop-up to download those demos right away.
Yeah, I feel like this will have like streaming capabilities as well. So obviously, maybe there'll be a room that's like the PlayStation like the PlayStation Plus room, and then in there, depending on what subscription service you have, it'll give you access to that room. And then you walk in. If you have premium, it'll give you could just stream demos straight from in there, and then it'll pop up. But the pop-up will be a pop-up like an Amazon Alexa. It'll be like a Sony Samantha, and Samantha would be like, "Hey, hello, Jay. Your demo for God of War Ragnarok is now available to play in the PlayStation Premium room." Ba-ding.
It's like I just imagine the premium room being like a Delta airline lounge.
Oh yeah,
where they're like, "You have premium. Welcome." I'm like, "Hey Jay, what's up?"
It would be hilarious if they just had a whole buffet set up that's digital and you can't even interact with it.
And I'm like, "Dude, check this out. Look at this new game that came in. Ghostwire Tokyo." As you see me ladling it onto my plate to check out.
That'd be hilarious.
There's like a little credit, like it's a little avatar. You know how they have the squares? Yeah. I'm like, I got one.
Or it would be more like, you know how like in like those places they have like the small versions of all the cereal boxes? It'll be a bunch of those little things, but they're game boxes everywhere.
I'm just browsing a shelf, almost like Blockbuster-esque for a Friday night. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to play. There's so much cool stuff.
Going back a little bit, I like the idea that you said making your environment, because in my head, it looked just like an apartment. But let's not do that. They're not apartments. You can make it look like an apartment. You can make it look like you're in the field of Ghost of Tsushima.
I would want to escape. I would want to do something where I end up on like the beaches of Tsushima and I'm in there, but then I also have like a tablet and I'm reading manga just as there's ambient noise because I paid $5 for the environment. So I can just sit in peace and read manga to like really nice noises, and I can go wherever. Cause like in the winter it'll snow here and it'd be nice to go somewhere else or escape.
And I'm hoping the PSVR 2 is comfortable enough and clear enough for watching shows in VR wouldn't be as annoying like it was in PSVR. When PSVR, I was like, why would I ever watch Netflix like this? It looks like shit. Like, it's huge. It's a giant movie theater that I've never seen a screen this big, but it looks so bad. I would never watch TV like this.
You know what'd be cool too is if like in these features you can also do launch parties. So you gather up with a bunch of other people and like you guys are all waiting to download, and it's in like, okay, so God of War is coming out, right? So there's going to be a God of War themed room where it's playing the music, everything's going, and there's a countdown, and you can even have like different people come out because then it's life-size versions of Atreus, like talking to you and hyping you up. So when you go to play, you can talk to a bunch of other people and then go play.
Yeah.
And what's cool about that is in multiplayer, you can add those peeps that you talk to and then play with them later, because then it would be almost like a coffee shop space or like a GameStop.
Like I could imagine, at first it's like a Sony sponsored event countdown where everyone's in this VR room together, and it has like God of War stuff happening. You're in a God of War environment, and there's things you could interact with. You could walk over and pick up the Mjolnir's hammer, and you could go over, or Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and you could go and like pick up Kratos' weapons, and you could see live size models of all the character models and stuff. Music's happening, big countdown in the sky doing its thing, and you're just all in there together with other people. You could chat, and then it's like, all right, game's coming out in 10 seconds, and everyone gets in their like seats, and then you could like either let all the people's sounds happen and you could hear everyone, or you could like mute everyone and just hear your own audio and stuff. Like, it will give options for all that stuff. And then, you could just play this game in a room full of digital other people and like see and hear other people react to the same thing that you're doing at that exact time. And you could either set up private party launch parties, or you could set up public launch parties if you just want to join up with random people. You know, I think it'd be a really cool virtual experience.
I think so too, and I think it would be really cool to see play, because you can even play it different. Because think about a fighting game. A fighting game is just 2D. So then you can cast it where the people are almost fighting in front of you. And then I would change it where it's almost like a cage match, but you don't even need the cage. So you're just sitting there, and then there's another person sitting right next to you. And you can even have them shadow or whatever. And then you would see the fight happen right in front of you, almost as if you're a bystander.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But that's a little bit different, though, because unless the game's made for VR, it wouldn't be able to do that. But you could make that screen giant. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. You would make it giant, so it'd be like a projection,
like double IMAX size screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All that being said, I also think it would be cool if they added small mini games. Like I'm talking like throw the, I don't know. There's that like game from Horizon Forbidden West, Strikers. Like just add that game in there. Like you could play the game in real life, you know, or you could like.
Or I was thinking you could even do like tutorials to show them how to play with the space. So you do a flying tutorial. That way they can see how they can expand the space upward if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do a tutorial where you're adding different levels. So you're building. Because I'm thinking it's a size of, you can make it as small or as big as you want to, and it can have a different environment.
Yeah, I guess that would be interesting. Where maybe what we could do is let's take Ghost of Tsushima for example. You could get the Ghost of Tsushima environment, so it changes. So you're in the fields of grass and all the things moving, and then we also give the player an option to place all your decorations and furniture. But then we also give them like the options to just have prefab rooms, and you could build them and click them together, and it makes it super easy and simple, and you could essentially make your own little house, right? And I can imagine we just make it really easy. It just clicks together, and you could place that wherever you kind of want, you know. And then
I could even see us having droids in there, like random AI characters that move and act a certain way with their personality. And they're moving around, and you can interact with them, and they have set interactions that they can do.
Yeah, I wouldn't say droids, but I would say probably like actual characters from games and stuff. Like you'll have like their NPC models just like walking around and stuff.
Right. And those would all be part of packs or tokens that you would earn over time.
Like it would be like the token, like I explained earlier, tokens you'll get from like trophies, general purchases you make on the PlayStation Store. I don't know, random events will give you tokens, like a free token every day you log in. You get like 100 tokens or something like that.
And that's why, and like, of course, to have something like from the Spider-Man universe would be pretty hefty, but I'd probably be able to get a bug snack eventually, like one that I could have chilling out.
Imagine if you could there's like a mini game in here where Bugsnax lets PlayStation like, be like, yeah, you could just raise Bugsnax, like have a little farm of like 15 Bugsnax.
That'd be awesome. I would have just to be on brand, I'd have like the flying pizza.
What's it called? It isn't called like Mothra Pizza Moth, or
something like that.
It has a moth in it. Mothzilla sounds kind of right.
Yeah, that I don't know. So with this, I'm trying to think of what other cool features you could do. I think any VR2 game that's made for it with a mech would be amazing. Because then you would want to do that cramped whole, I just want to be in my mech thing hanging out. Well, also the whole spaceship vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you could... if this just becomes like a mainstay on PSVR 2, where it kind of becomes a lot of people's hub whenever they start, instead of on PSVR 2, instead of it doing the old way, which you still can, I imagine, if this was ever to come out, You log in, put on the headset, and then you could still look through your PS5 library as if you're just looking through your PS5 library, just like how PSVR worked with the PS4. Or if this were to exist, people, instead of going through the PS5 library like that, they would just launch this app and then they'll log in. And this just becomes their launcher. Like this just becomes, when I put on my PSVR helmet, I'm just launching this app because I could have access to all of my VR games here. I even access to the games that aren't VR games, but I would like to play them in this setting. Because I like being in the Horizon Forbidden West setting while playing Horizon Forbidden West.
It'd be cool if on the home screen you could see your different friends, and if they are open to, like, they have open rooms. Like, I know you would do it if you're like, hey, anyone just come by and chill out in my space on Friday night.
Yeah.
So like I could log in, and at home I could go to friends and I can see you chilling in your room. That's themed.
And I'm just like playing Danganronpa V3, and then you could go into a different corner and play Digimon Cyber Sleuth, you know?
Yeah, and I think that would be so dope is if like you could have, if you're playing on the big screen and I can enable like a Vita extension. So I'm playing Cyber Sleuth while watching you play Danganronpa.
Yeah.
So it's like you're streaming it to me and I'm commenting on it while playing a game.
Yeah. Like it would be like picture in picture that they have for the share play right now, but you'll be doing it in a space while we could both be playing our own games, and every once in a while look at the other person and see what they're doing and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, right. I think that'd be the coolest aspect of it, where we're both playing Overwatch 2 right next to each other. And like, I could look over and glance at what you're doing. You look over, glance at what I'm doing. And it's all like works together, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also imagine eventually they'll start adding small games in this space, like things to do between waiting for things, like waiting between lobbies. Like you could play ping pong, or like you could play like horse, like basketball horse, you know, like small mini games that aren't really meaningful and don't take too much time, but just something to pass the time and just hang out in the space even longer. Just like doing stupid shit. And I could also imagine like you could buy a lot of VR interactables. So if you want to put a huge buffet full of food, you can't eat it, of course, but maybe you could like fill up a plate, and then you could do the fun VR thing where you pretend to eat and it like eats the thing in VR.
I think it'd be useful to do certain stuff like that. Like I'd probably buy it eventually, where if like you came over as like a gag, I'd have like the Yakuza bar. Yeah. I'm like, come on, sit down. And then there's like an AI there. And I'm like, yeah, she'll pour you a drink. And then I'm like, Jay, do you want a cigarette? And she'll light your cigarette. Yeah. And like you're smoking, but there's nothing happening.
Yeah. I mean, that would be awesome. Like I would love that. And I would love like small, cool VR interaction stuff like that. Because in like some PSVR 1 games, you could smoke. And like it activates by going like this, and it could hear you sucking, and so you could hear that, and then you go, and then smoke will come out of your mouth, and I'm like, that's awesome. Right. And
so then we would just be playing and chilling and talking to each other
and pretend,
because then I would have, because food, we might be like, well, that's, you know, you can't eat it, but I'd have the Yakuza bar, I'd have the Catherine bar, I'd have a bunch like just hangouts.
Yeah. You could just have peanuts there, and it just feels more immersive because it feels like you're in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or we could all go to a hub that you pay to enter, and there's people playing, and you can either have your own aisle or you can open it up to people.
Yeah. I could also imagine, you know, this would be a fun way to like experience, like, you know, when you play Final Fantasy 15 or something, you cook those foods and you're like, man, that looks good. We could have like those dishes as cosmetics in the VR space, you know, like every new release that has like really good looking food, they'll release the PSVR 2 space pack where you could like see what the food in the game looks like in like a full model and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, no, most definitely. It sounds like a really fun time. And then I imagine there being like a lot of unlicensed spaces that'll be a great time, like tree houses.
Yeah, stuff that we make specifically for this space that we always keep updating and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's gonna be. I just thought about everybody. You know, the people who are into horror games and like people who really want Last. Like, I wouldn't want to be in a Last of Us space at all. Like,
But there's
who would
people
even
who
want?
want it. People are like, yeah, I will
Yeah,
stay in the house from Resident Evil 7.
and there's like clickers going off and shit, like in the distance, or like like whistles. And I'm like, this is unsettling.
Yeah. Like, why would you just sit in here watching Netflix? Like, I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I watch One Piece with a clicker right in my ear. Music.
Yeah, I bought it and it just meanders and scares me.
Yeah. Music. I'm thinking it's just going to be whatever licensed music from all these Sony games and stuff. It's just going to be soundtracks and stuff like that. I don't think there's going to be any licensed music in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Just a bunch of different themes and songs, and besides
you know how
that,
like
maybe
sometimes you pre-order a Sony game, they're like, it comes with a digital soundtrack, and I'm like, cool, never gonna listen to it. But in this space, I might.
yeah. Or I'd probably get, honestly, you would hear the Studio Ghibli shit like playing all over the place.
Dude, I would play
MySpace.
Genshin Impact soundtrack all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Pricing. I think this has to be a pack-in. It just comes with PSVR 2.
yeah, and then you're doing a shitload of microtransactions and unlocking with tokens and playing.
I think there's going to be a virtual,
it would be cool.
a virtual currency you could buy that you also earn for free naturally doing like normal things you would playing PlayStation.
Or turn in your trophies too for these tokens.
Yeah, that's what I like. Trophy turn-ins and like playtime maybe, and also just buying PlayStation games, buying PlayStation DLC like V-Bucks and stuff like that. Or you could just outright buy it, and then there'll be like packs that you buy with the tokens, but there won't be like exclusive packs that you could only buy with real money. Everything is purchasable by this free earning token that you could either pay for or earn naturally.
Gotcha.
But the game's free. All right, Alex. It's time to start your timer because it's time to name this game.
All right, it's began.
Now I have a pretty good name that I want to run by you. I called this Placestation. Placestation.
Station. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Place station in 15 seconds. Place station is a pack-in where you get to create your own virtual space, earn tokens by playing games, and buy furniture, food settings, environments, ambient sounds, and NPCs to fill your space to make it the most welcoming, or have a certain theme as you play through games. Invite other people, play emulators, and play the games that you've bought, all in PlayStation.
All right. So I think we have an app here, Alex. What do you think? Would this be an app you'd like to use? And will you enjoy using it?
Yeah, I would get stuck in it. I'd get stuck in it a bunch of times. This would be the stuff where I'd probably end up decorating my space a lot, and I'd redecorate it for certain game nights. Like if there's a weekend where it's Modern Warfare 2, like that I'm playing, I may have like a certain theme to it.
Yeah. This is
if
where
I were
the
doing
PS5 themes will live. You know what I mean? Where there's no PS5 theme, but you could get one in VR.
And then, yeah, like cyberpunk themes when you're playing
Dude, can you imagine?
cyberpunk.
And I can imagine, like, if you buy the Ghost of Tsushima theme, it will come with like 4 different themes. So you get the one with it's like the grass, and then you'll get the one with like the yellow trees, and then you'll get the one with the red leaves everywhere. You know.
And I would live in Ghost of Tsushima because I would be able to buy the fox, the bird. It's so much. It's so tranquil.
Yeah. Or like I would get the Gravity Rush pack and just sit on a building somewhere high up, you know, and throw up because I get super sick. But I think it's just a cool. It's like what every person growing up watching .hack or now I guess Sword Art Online wishes really existed, but every company is like, we would never do that. How do you make money off? No one's going to be interested in this, you know. But we all want it, but they're never going to do it.
Oh, especially if I lived like in a studio apartment though. I would want to transform my space or get away. Especially, imagine if you lived in a studio apartment, you were kind of broke, but you got gifted VR2 and you also work at home. You'd want to put this on eventually just to be like, now I'm sitting in a different space.
Yeah, you're just chilling out on the beach, put on a fan on your face and feel like you have wind blowing in your face. You know what I mean? Like, I just really wish that, because like Sony is the closest that ever got to this type of thing that we all wanted, this meta sim like type of environment with PlayStation Home, but they just never revisited that idea. And everyone's nostalgic about PlayStation Home, and I understand that no one wanted to use it, but it's because PlayStation Home sucked, because
I think we played together in PlayStation Home.
I don't know. We might have. I don't know.
And I remember running around and they actually had drones being used before drones were even a thing. Do you remember that? The drone races?
Kinda. I only remember really being in the home and like none of the apps really working the way that they should. I was more obsessed with that PlayStation 3 app that was a bunch of dots everywhere. And I had no idea what was going on, but it was just like a weird like social study thing. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, what dots?
There was a PlayStation app that you opened up and then it just started dots just popping up. I don't even know what the point of it was, but it was really cool and I liked watching it. PlayStation Home was great, and PlayStation Home or PlayStation VR or whatever you want to call this thing, I think is the natural evolution of it now with PSVR 2 coming out, all the metaverse speak that's happening out, and Sony Star Awards and all that stuff. It just all points to PlayStation Home or something equivalent being perfect. You know, it's just it just works. Like you and I gave you this prompt and you immediately knew what I wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. I think a lot of people would want this.
Exactly. Well, now that we have this complete app, what studio would you assign to make PlayStation the best? I mean, it has to be the Sony Team Asobi, which made Astrobot, or it has to be I don't know, one of the VR teams that is under Sony.
I actually know the perfect one. Hold on. And I'll tell you why. It's going to be who remade the Shadow of the Colossus. What was that, Dev?
Oh, Blue Point, I think.
So Blue Point is great at taking PlayStation assets and making them look pretty.
Yeah.
And awesome. So if they just took all these assets under their wing and made them into rooms for us, and they're all remastered and looking awesome, I think Blue Point could do a great job.
That is a really good pull. I had another one, which would be either Sumo Digital or Media Molecule, the Dreams and Little Big Planet people. You know what I mean? Just because they know how to like do creative tools, and they have a close relationship with Sony, and they do like a lot of callbacks with Sackboy, you know? I feel like they'll be able to do like a lot of like fun little models. Like maybe instead of them being like actual Kratos and like Alo and stuff, I can imagine them doing like cute chibi versions of all the characters as NPCs that run around.
Most definitely. I can't think of, besides that, I would say Square Enix, just because they built a world like Final Fantasy 14. And then if there was just a lot of Square Enix stuff in PlayStation, people would be happy.
Yeah. And with that, our 225th IP has gone gold. We hope you look forward to this experience I'll probably never release. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to give us extra support, please head over to patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. For just $1, patrons receive episodes early and an extra podcast at the beginning, which caught the end of our conversation at the beginning of this episode. That's patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. Like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And if they ask for a review, instead of reviewing our show, become your inner game critic and review PlayStation, the video game we just created. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back next Friday with another new IP. Again, my name is J.E.
And I'm AG.
Thank you. And please remember that we are not game devs. Do you think that this falls more under we are not game devs or make this happen?
It could still, I mean, we're still deving in there. I mean, I think this is fine because the game that I was going to create is also going to be like a different kind of game next week. So I think this is fine.
I mean, it's no Character Creator Pro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's Character Creator Pro. Or, you know, we could even make a peripheral one week where we just make something that can like a USB stick that you plug in to cheat on all your games.
Like a game
Cheating.
predator, like a kind of like a I don't know, like maybe like a game shark, a game shark.
They wouldn't allow that anymore.
No, they would not.